I recently had the privilege of hosting a Mavic 4 Pro workshop at the DJI Carindale store. It was so much fun to showcase this brand new drone. You get to learn all about the tips and settings, all the ins and outs of the drone. There's a bunch of insights and unique stuff that you can't find online throughout this workshop. And I also showcase the brand new controller and show you a bunch of the new features with this guy here. So a huge shout out to the D1 store and DJI Carindale for hosting this event with me and helping out with everything. Also a massive shout out to everyone who attended. It was great to connect with all of you. Really enjoyed myself. It was so much fun. And the idea of this is you'll get to see a lot of the workshop now. You'll get to see the in-store presentation, which was a lot of fun. There's a lot of videos in there, a lot of kind of interactive elements where I talk through a bunch of stuff to do with the drone and the controller. And then we actually go to a field, an actual official drone park around the corner, and we all get a chance to fly the drone. So there's 2 drones operating. I'm showcasing a bunch of tips and settings and features, and people are watching it as I'm doing that. And then there's a separate drone where you get a chance to fly it as well. So you'll get to see me track the manager. He did a great job of running around the field as I was tracking him to show everyone how ActiveTrack worked, and a bunch of other really cool stuff in here. Everyone got a chance to fly. We got a chance to chat and connect. And it was just so much fun. So enjoy the video. Again, thank you to everyone who attended and for D1 and the DJI Carindale store for supporting this, and enjoy the video, guys. So firstly, thank you everyone for attending. I really appreciate everyone coming out today. And also huge thank you to the staff here at DJI Carindale as well as the D1 store. So what the plan will be is it will be about a 45 or so minute presentation just to go through all of the different specs, all the settings and whatnot for the drone and the controller, and some of the stuff to do with the battery as well. And then the idea is we'll be going out to the reserve, which is across the road, and you have an opportunity to fly one of the Mavic 4 Pros. I'll also be flying a drone next to you as well, so if you want to come over and ask any questions, feel free to come over and ask any questions you might have as I'm flying the drone. And so, if you don't know who I am, if you haven't seen me before, my name is Dan Davis. I'm the creative director of DansTube.TV. I've been running the channel for like 17 years or so, but drone content's been the focus for about 5 years now, with a big focus on DJI drones, but I've tested all sorts of drones if you've checked out my channel before, so if you haven't, make sure to check it out after. And I'm just going to start off by going through a lot of the specs to do with the cameras, and then I'll be going into there'll be some video examples along the way showcasing some of the things that I've tested. Keep in mind that I will be releasing a video that's got 57 tips and settings on this drone. I was trying to get it out before the workshop to show you some of it, but there's honestly so many tips and settings within this thing. There's so many different things that you can do, and a lot of people aren't actually talking about it online, oddly enough. So this is a triple camera flagship drone. We saw this with the Mavic 3 Pro, and this is the next evolution of a triple camera drone. Still has a Hasselblad camera system, but this time it is a 6K, 60 FPS camera system, full HDR, really impressive stuff. So it's actually a 4/3" CMOS sensor, so basically a micro four thirds camera system, very similar to like a mirrorless camera system for like a camera like I'm using today. That's the main camera system, and then there's 2 other complementary zoom lenses that I'll go into. So the main camera system here, like I said, 4/3". It does have adjustable aperture, so that's one of the big calling cards of the main camera system. We did see this with the Mavic 3 Pro, but it's great to see it come across here. So it's got aperture of f2 to f11, which basically means regardless of the lighting condition, you can adjust how much the lens is opening and closing to make sure that you're getting the best shot for the setting that you're in. And you have up to 16 stops of dynamic range, which is a huge leap forward over the previous Mavic 3 Pro. Like I said, 6K, 60 FPS, HDR video, which is like nothing you can compare to from the DJI range for like a consumer. Like it is their flagship, it's next level really. 4K, 120 frames per second, and then they've also got 100 megapixel photos as well. So really cool to see that evolution with the main camera system. It's ideal for these kind of scenarios, so a wide camera system, like a lot of these cameras here are wide cameras, so that just means that you're getting the landscape, right? So the idea is that it's great for cityscapes and landscapes where you really want to get everything in the frame and you don't want to miss anything at all. That's the whole idea of a main camera system, the wide camera system. And here's an example here. All the stuff I've captured is in slow motion just to show you the similarities between the 3 lenses. That was one thing that really impressed me, that regardless of what you're doing, whether it's the main camera system or the 2 zoom lenses, you can still capture images that look very similar. The video's nice and easy to match when you're editing. So this is down at the Sunshine Coast here, all in slow motion, using that main camera system. And then there's an example of a 100 megapixel image that was captured. Obviously it's compressed because it's in a PowerPoint presentation here, and I've had to kind of pull the quality down. But that's just a reference of what it can look like. You can see, how much quality is in the image and how much it really does pop, even though it is compressed for this PowerPoint here. And 100 megapixels is the most we've seen on a consumer drone. Like even when we look at the Inspire 3, which is their top end, can't even capture 100 megapixel photos there. So pretty crazy what they've done with the Mavic 4 Pro here. And this camera system, we've seen this before with many other drones, so nothing like hugely groundbreaking here. They haven't advanced it significantly, but it is actually one of my favorite camera systems. It's on the Air 3 and Air 3S. Same zoom lens there. I just love the perspective when you've got layering to your image. So that's one of my favorite camera systems. 14 stops of dynamic range. It can go up to 4K 60, and then you've got 4K 120 frames per second with 48 megapixel photos. So nothing hugely groundbreaking or different from the Air 3 and Air 3S. Doesn't mean that it's not a good camera though. It just, when I think about it, it's a staple basically. It's one of my favorite camera systems that they've released, and great for stuff like this where you want layering to your image. So you've got the example of buildings there. You can see there's a fair bit of layering to it, and you wouldn't be able to capture that with a main camera system unless you were to fly like 20 meters in range of a building, which would then be obviously not a good idea. Great for cars and mountains. And then here's just an example, again, of like a slow-mo video with someone on a jet ski here. So this is 4K 120 frames per second. You can see that you can't really notice a drastic difference when it comes to the quality between the main camera and the medium tele, which is great because it means that you can obviously match up footage, and it means that you can utilize each camera system. It's not going to look drastically different between the three there. And then there's a photo captured with the 70mm medium telephoto system. That's actually at Montville. Beautiful lookout over at Montville there. And I'm like, I can't even imagine, but maybe 90 meters away or 100 meters away. And then I'm obviously using that medium telephoto system, so no one had any idea I was there. Still captures like a very unique image that doesn't look like it's banded or awkward or anything like that. And then we've got this guy here. So this is a 1/1.5 inch sensor. It's definitely the least impressive out of them. But in terms of the zoom, it's like crazy impressive what this can do. You have to fly well and truly back to be able to get anything in frame here. It's just a nice lens to be able to scout out an area, to figure out what's in that location. And then if you want a little bit more zoom and a little bit more layering to your image, great for that as well. The one limitation, interestingly, is that you can only go up to 100 frames per second in slow motion with this camera system. I don't know why that's a limitation, but not a huge limitation. People probably won't notice the difference. The one thing I will say, because I've been testing drones for so long now, when I noticed with the Mavic 3 Pro, that telephoto system would focus, like it would try to pull focus a fair bit and sometimes would lose a little bit of focus. I found that this was a lot more stable. So I don't know what they've done in the back end there, but it definitely is a little bit more reliable than the previous generation. And again, ideal for perspectives where you want to layer images and you want to be far away from a subject so you're not disturbing anyone. Great for stuff like that. Boats, humans, and close-ups, all great for that. And there's an example there, again, like I'm ages away and just zoomed in. That's the 168mm telephoto. And you can see you can't really notice a huge difference, even though it's 100 frames per second as opposed to 120 frames per second. You can't really notice much of a difference. And again, if I was to put those three videos side by side, they do work well together, which is important that they don't look drastically different, especially if you want to use the three cameras for different scenarios. That's an example of one of the 50 megapixel photos from the camera system there. I really wish you could see it in full quality because the detail is phenomenal. Obviously it's compressed here, so you're losing a bit. But again, all three cameras are great for photo and video. All right, so the big difference here, which I didn't know if it was going to be a bit of a gimmick when I first saw it. The idea is that the gimbal can rotate 400 degrees. So in manual mode, you can fully rotate it 400 degrees. And that means that with the controller, you can literally just use the toggle wheel to get the full range of motion up to 400 degrees, which is crazy to see in action. And then with the Quickshot mode that they've released, they limit it to 360 degrees. But that really doesn't make too much of a difference. I actually don't mind the rotate quickshot mode as well. And there'll be some video examples coming up very soon. You can use that rotate mode with all 3 cameras, so no limitations there. You can even do it when it's in vertical video as well. And one thing that I love is the tilt, the range of tilt. So with this drone here, you can go up to 70 degrees, meaning that and there'll be an example soon, you can tilt up 70 degrees, which does create a new perspective. Some of the other previous drones had slight limitations when it came to their tilt range, where this guy here has got full 70 degrees. So there's an example here. There's a combination of some DJI videos as well as some stuff that I've captured here. So this was down at Cleveland, Raby Bay area. It's kind of a little bit sickening the first time you see it, just because, I don't know, it feels like you're so close to the water. It's a little bit jarring the first time you watch it back. But this is an example of what you can do. This was me doing it in full manual mode. So literally all I had to do was just use the toggle wheel and fly the drone back. And it was that simple to capture something like that. No issues with sort of jumpy movement or anything like that. It's been smooth. And this is around Montville again, same kind of example. This is me flying towards it and rotating, all in manual mode. And I'll show you soon how the Quickshot mode works, which is all programmable. But again, you've got full control manually as well as programming it, depending on how you want it to look. This is something, again, like I said, I didn't know if it was a bit of a gimmick, because you can do this kind of stuff in post-production. You can obviously rotate a video in post-production. But because it's so smooth and you're getting that like solid, smooth movement and it's nice and fluid, I've actually found myself using it more than I thought I would, which is really cool. So you can start, a video upside down even, and then flip it like so. All of this stuff's online as well if you want to check it out on my channel or other channels out there. There'll be some higher quality video if you're looking for something to sink your teeth into as opposed to a compressed PowerPoint. And this is an example from DJI of that tilt perspective, right? So you've got the example of a beautiful arch, and previously you wouldn't be able to tilt as high with other drones. So it just creates something unique like this, where you can literally reveal the moon, right? So you're coming in, tilting up, and again, very unique for something like this. The previous Mavic range didn't have as much tilt range. And so this is the actual Quickshot mode. This is how it operates through the system here. You can use the different zoom lenses as well when you're in the rotate mode. But this is me, you can change the speed as well. So this is going with a slower rotate mode. And you can see in the top there, it's got the reference point. It started at 360 degrees, and I'm not touching the controller. It's just doing it all on its own. Really smooth, nice and easy to use. And you can use the different cameras as well for this, which is great. So you can choose a few options, whether you want to fly backwards, forwards. You can choose the range of motion, the speed of motion. So this is just me going really slowly to reveal something, and then obviously you could speed it up in your editing process later. So that's an example of what the Quickshot mode looks like there. So same location, this is in Cleveland kind of area here. This is the vertical video that you can capture. So it's the first time we've had true vertical on a Mavic drone like this, where it actually flips the entire camera system. So with the controller, and I'll show you this when we're out in the field, when you flip the controller screen, it flips the camera into that vertical mode. So really easy to do. You can do it mid-flight. You could go, oh, there's something there I want to capture in vertical. Flip it like so, and it instantly changes it into vertical video. And there's the example there on the side there. And the thing that's great as well is you can still capture 6K. So if you're using the main camera system, it's still 6K footage in vertical, which is something we haven't seen from a drone before. So here's an example here of kind of what that looks like. So sometimes I was able to go really fast, and I would it wouldn't rotate with me if I was going too fast. But in this example here, you can see I'm slowly doing it, and the heads-up display here changes its orientation. So when I flip it this way, you can see the record button goes down the side. Everything relocates and reformats for when you're shooting in vertical. You can see how smooth it is and seamless. No issues at all as you're going between vertical and horizontal here. And yeah, this is one of the, when I think about, and I'll talk about it probably in a bit, but the idea of like an advancement in a drone is always really exciting, but the drone's normally in the sky, right? 100 meters away, 200 meters away, whatever it is. This is the main thing you're interfacing with. This is the experience that you're having with the drone. So the fact that they put so much love into the controller for me was really exciting. Like it was something that was so exciting to see how flawless they've gone with the drone there and the controller. This is something that I find isn't spoken about maybe enough online. It was available on the Air 3S and I believe the Air 3, but it's the subject focusing feature. So the idea is when you tap on a subject, like a boat or a person, it will actually create that as the focus point. So it creates a little bit of blur to the background and creates a little bit of layering to the background. And yeah, it's something that's just not spoken about enough, but it is a cool feature, especially for something like that when you want a little bit of the background blurred out, and it keeps that as the focus point, and that's what the actual focus is going to be on, and then the background will be just slightly blurred out, so you don't have to manually do anything. I find that's a really reliable feature, and I use that actually more than I thought I would, which is cool. Waypoints have come back here with the Mavic 4 Pro. No huge change when it comes to the waypoints. I haven't found that they've added any significantly new features or anything like that with this drone, but that's not terrible because it is still a really solid waypoint mode. I was waiting for waypoints for such a long time. We had to use third-party apps if anyone was using them in the past, if you wanted waypoints, but now we've got it built in and baked into the actual software here. And you've got so much control. You can see all the different controls you can have down the bottom there. You can choose really anything that you want it to do, all sorts of movements and speeds, and you can change the direction that the drone's following from and whatnot. Really advanced. So yeah, the fact that they haven't added too much isn't a major issue because it already was such a feature-packed offering with the waypoints. So you can do that. That one there I'm showing is me actually flying the drone and then pressing, I think it's the C1 button. So you can press the button as you're framing a shot, press that to capture a waypoint, move to another shot, capture a waypoint. So you can actually do that visually if you would prefer to do it visually, or you can then go into the map interface like here, and then you can just tap on the screen. And you can add additional waypoints, and you can do a combination of the both. You can capture it just with the image, with the C1 button, and then go in and add some more waypoints here. And I've added a point of interest here, so you can actually have a focus point on a building or a person or whatever it may be. And then you can adjust all of the parameters. So you'll see when I press apply all in a second, all of those angles that are facing in a different direction will then very soon, when I apply it all will all focus in on that point of interest there. So yeah, super easy to do. You don't have to really do too much legwork there. It does a lot of the work for you. And so yeah, with ActiveTrack 360, we've seen this with other drones. Again, not a huge advancement, but it was a significantly big improvement when we saw it on the Mini 4 Pro. So that was the first drone that got ActiveTrack 360. For me, I still want to see like a true follow mode where it's actually following the signal from the controller, because the limitation is obviously you've got like visual line of sight that the drone needs to see you. So if you go behind trees for too long, it's going to stop following you at a certain point. So I would love to see like a true follow mode where it's using the signal from the controller. But I will say that I have noticed big improvements with it following cars. I actually went out with a friend, he got a new car and he's like, oh, let's go and test out the new drone, let's see what we can do. And there was an extended period of time where there was no visual line of sight of the car because there were many trees, and the drone actually planned ahead. Unfortunately, I don't have a video in here, but it planned ahead and was able to keep up with the car. I think it only lost him maybe once or twice when there was like just a significant amount of trees and it couldn't figure out where the car was. But that's something that they have said has been improved here, and I definitely noticed that when I tested it with my friend's car there. And these are some of the settings that you can change. So it's like you've got the outer circle and the inner circle. You can change all the different parameters of like how far it's away from you when it's tracking, the different heights you want to have it. You can also go with near ground flight, so it's flying really low to the ground as it's tracking you. So much customization here. And they also added more customization with the vehicle tracking as well, which was something that was slightly limited with the Mini 4 Pro, but they've added that in here. So it is a big improvement. Here's an example of the obstacle avoidance. So it does have 6 sensors on it, 6 low light sensors. You've got 3 underneath, they're fisheye sensors, and then you've got 3 on top. And then there's also a LiDAR sensor in the front here, and I'll get into that a little bit more in a bit. But this is me using the zoom lens, so the medium telephoto lens here, the 2.5 times. So I'm like significantly far back, and it's still able to keep me in focus and avoid all the trees and plan ahead. So really impressive stuff what it's able to do with that tracking, as you can see. It's just wild to see, like, because it's a larger drone, so there were times where it was like really close to the trees, but it had no issues. It didn't even come close to them, surprisingly. Just impressive what it can do. Oh, we've got Q&A at the end. So this is what I was mentioning with the sensors. So really cool to see the low light sensors that they've done here. I didn't really know at first when I started seeing this coming through, like what they were planning on, because we saw it with the Air 3S. It's got a big LiDAR sensor on the front there. So this is an advancement again. They call it a 0.1 lux Nightscape omnidirectional sensing or vision. So a little bit of a mouthful, doesn't probably mean too much to anyone here. But the idea of that is that we've got the fisheye sensors that have a wider field of view. So even though we don't have sensors on the back, because these are so wide, it's got a full omnidirectional, regardless of where the drone is. It can sense obstacles in its environment. It can still keep up with you at 64.8 kilometers an hour, which is an advancement. So even as it's following you in a car, no issues with that. You can go 64 kilometers an hour as it's following you. And the thing that's really cool, which is a little bit of a confusing one when it comes to their marketing around this, but 0.1 lux, again, doesn't really mean too much to me when I found out about it. But the idea, the way that they've framed it is that imagine like the light emitted from a candle. That's basically the lighting environment that it can avoid obstacles in. So just in here, if it's a pitch black room and there's just a candle, that's what they're stating. It can actually avoid obstacles in that type of lighting condition, which is like insane, as you could imagine. This is the focus tracking, which we've seen before. Nothing new with focus tracking. But I will say with this controller, I found that I was testing it with the RC2, wherever that is, the RC2 over there, and the RC Pro 2. And I found that because this controller's got significantly more computing power, when you've got so many subjects on screen, you'd imagine how much computing power that takes for it to actually track every single point and tell you what it can track. Let me just show you again. But I was really impressed that like no delay with the display, didn't lag at all. You can see how many pluses are there that it's picking up on. And there was no delay, where I found a slight bit of delay when I was using the RC2. So I definitely did notice a slight improvement when it comes to the computing power from this controller here, which was nice to see as well. So if you don't want to use the focus track mode, you can manually track as well. So you basically just tap on the screen and drag to create the box over a subject. And then because that's not recognized as an object, like a building, it hasn't recognized it as, basically, I can still have full manual flight control and still capture something like that as it reveals the horizon. And all I had to do was press and drag to create that focus point. So again, we have seen this before, but just with the additional power of the sensors and the controller and everything, and the camera system, it does make a really nice difference here. That's the spotlight mode. Again, that's me using the 6 times. So that's that full telephoto system. Again, the quality's still there. It's not like the quality dips because you're using a high-end zoom lens. And spotlight's really easy to use with all 3 camera systems. This was definitely a big improvement when it comes to battery life, and there's something really exciting about this charging hub that I'll mention very soon. But the idea is that these are 65 watt-hour batteries, so a big improvement when it comes to flight time. You're getting up to 51 minutes of flight time with the drone here. Now, they always quote 51 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever. That's very unrealistic. That's you like flying the drone until the point that it lands itself into the water, potentially. So realistically, you're probably getting 45 minutes, let's say, by the time you fly, land, and making sure that you're not going to crash the drone. But the fact that you can get up to 90 kilometers with the top speed is insane, like such a huge improvement there. And like I said, 64 kilometers roughly of what it can track you when it's in the ActiveTrack mode. So still really impressive stuff there. They state it's got a flight distance of 41 kilometers. Keep in mind, legally you have to keep it in line of sight. And that's in like a perfect scenario where they're saying they're flying for an extended period of time from 100% down to 0. And that's where the drone actually forces itself to land. They're saying you get 41 kilometers of range. I would not recommend trying that anyone, but that's something that DJI have tried, and that's where that comes from. So this here, this is really cool. This was something that I wanted to see for quite a long time, actually. The improvement to how fast batteries charge. One of the big things, and I'll show you in a second the difference between recent drone releases, But sometimes it can just take such a period of time to charge up your batteries, right? So you might come back and want to go back out again. So you come home, you might want to charge your batteries and go back out to fly again. Could take like 2 hours plus for you to go out and do that. So the fact that it fully charges one battery in 51 minutes is like really, really impressive. And the big one is 90 minutes to charge all 3 batteries. So if we compare that to some recent releases, we've got the Mavic 3 Pro took 210 minutes to charge all 3 batteries. The Air 3S, which only just came out, double the time at 180 minutes, only 90 minutes for the Mavic 4 Pro. So half the time of the Air 3S to charge all 3 batteries. Something like that's pretty realistic if you imagine you were to come home, charge up your batteries, have some lunch, hang out for a little bit. Realistically, an hour and a half later, you could probably go out and fly again. Where if we think about the Mavic 3 Pro, you're probably not going to be flying 210 minutes later. You've probably got other things to do for the rest of the day. So that's some of the compatible controllers there. They've got the RC2 and the RC Pro 2. Both are compatible with the Mavic 4 Pro. I don't know if they'll add any other controllers in the future, but great that we've got 2 options there. And I'll get a little bit more into the actual controller here, but I'm glad that they added some compatibility for previous drones. Sometimes what can happen is they'll release something really exciting and they'll kind of force you into the new release, right? But the fact that they've made it compatible with the Mini 4 Pro, the Air 3S and the Air 3 is great, because there are people that still have all of those drones, still phenomenal drones. And you can just literally buy this if you want a little bit of an upgrade. Maybe you don't want to buy the Mavic 4 Pro, but you can buy the controller and it's still compatible with a previous drone that you might already have. So there's some more details there on the actual controller itself. So it's a 7-inch high bright mini LED display. I believe, I want to say it's 2000 nit peak brightness. Is that right?
2000 nit, 1600 nits.
Nice, there we go. Confirmation from the side there. So huge when it comes to like direct sunlight. If you imagine that you've angled this up and you've got sun piercing right into the screen, you can obviously angle it to mitigate some of that. But the fact that you've got that peak brightness means that you can see it in pretty much any lighting condition, which does make a significant difference when it comes to flying the drone. The collapsible control sticks is another huge calling card here. Previously, you'd have to unscrew them, which you can still unscrew these. But you see, as I start to angle it down, the control sticks go down and fold away. And then as you pull them up, it powers on the system and also folds out the control sticks there. So it makes a big difference when it comes to flight time, because you can get this drone up quicker than ever. Straight when you unfold the drone, it also powers on the drone. So I find sometimes what I do is I fold out the controller, put the controller down, I then fold out the drone, and by the time that's powered on, it's connected quicker than ever. You don't have to worry about powering anything on. So that is a big calling card there. And you can also program it so as you fold down the drone, it will power down the drone as well if you wanted to. The rotatable display, like I've shown you, to get true vertical video. It changes everything. Like even if you're editing on this system, it changes the orientation that way. If you sign into your social medias, for example, because you want to upload something directly from the controller, it's going to change the rotation to vertical as well. And there's also, which I'll get into soon, the built-in microphones on the base here. So they've got like 3 slots. So I believe it's a triple microphone assembly down the base there. I'll get into that as we get to the next slide. So there it is there. You've got the 3 mics down the base there. It does also have full HDMI to plug it into a TV if you wanted, or any other display. USB-C for charging, and then additional storage with the micro SD card. But that mic is nice to see. Definitely not the highest quality microphone you're ever going to use, but to be able to have the option is great. I find for me, when I'm doing a lot of tutorial videos, super easy, because I can just talk to the system and then I've got it later on when I'm editing the video. Or handy for people who potentially are flying for an extended period of time and they've forgotten like where that key moment was. All you have to do is, as you're flying, you could just go, oh yeah, this is the shot I want to keep, or I'm really happy with this one. So then the audio is going to peak and you can then see when you're editing the footage that you want to keep. So again, just saves a lot of time, saves a lot of like screwing around. And then you can also plug in to the USB-C there, either the Mic Mini or the Mic 2, as well as potentially other mics in the future. So quite versatile when it comes to that. And then we've got the new like dial, they call it, which is this guy here. So this can actually adjust a bunch of parameters. And the way they're kind of marketing it is that even if you're wearing gloves, so in a really cold area, if it's snowing, you don't have to touch the screen. You can literally use that dial to adjust all the parameters on screen, so the aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. You can adjust all of that in the Pro mode. And you can also view footage, select footage, play footage, without having to ever touch the screen at any point. So handy in Queensland, probably not a huge thing because it's so hot all the time. But if you were to go to the snow, you can wear gloves and you can still use the controller without having to worry. And in terms of they kind of frame it as like shooting and live streaming. So the fact that it's got built-in microphone or microphones means that it's ideal for like a live streaming scenario. The fact that obviously you can connect it up to RTMP when you're live streaming makes it a lot easier to just do that on the fly. 128 gigabytes of built-in storage. And then you've got the option to add additional storage with micro SD. I'll get into that when I get into the editor, but it is a huge benefit being able to have like a full Android operating system. So as you like swipe it up, it takes you into here. You can go into Firefox, you can customize the background, go through all the settings, download apps. It's a really cool system that you can play around with a fair bit. And so this is the editor. So there's a built-in editor now. It's been there for a little bit, but when you go into here, there's the option to go into Create, and it brings up a full editor that you can go into. You can drag along your footage. You can customize music, add in filters, effects, all sorts of stuff. And we've got transmission range of up to 30 kilometers. Again, unrealistic and illegal, but it is handy in terms of that buffering effect. I found that like if I'm flying with a few friends and we're both using a controller, or three of us are using a controller, that significantly dips the range, right? You get less range when you've got more transmission getting sent out. So having that extra buffer effect of 30 kilometers does actually make a difference in those scenarios, as well as in like hugely built up areas. If there's a lot of buildings, a lot of interference, that's where having that extra range actually makes a difference. It's definitely not about flying 30 kilometers, I would say. It's more just having additional range and less buffering. So here's an example of me testing out how well it can go with a wind test. I've tested this with mini drones and a few of them actually crashed. They couldn't handle the leaf blower for whatever reason. But you can see how solid it is. It doesn't even move. Like it was already a pretty windy day. This was before we had that huge like gust of wind that came through. But yeah, I'm like getting right in there, hitting it from all angles, doing sweeping motions. It's very rarely moving. And I found the other day when I was flying over the coastline, again, very windy day, had no issues. So I always do this as like a point of confidence for me to know that it can handle any sort of situation. And it had no issues, literally no issues. You can see it's like very rarely moving. Like occasionally it gets knocked. But yeah, I was quite impressed. I thought it'd be moving way more than that. Yeah, so that's an example of that with the wind. So I'll just quickly go through this, and then there's like a Q&A section if you've got any questions about the Mavic 4 Pro, and then we'll go across to the park if you want to have a chance to fly the drone or ask me any questions at that point. I'm not going to go too in-depth about this. A lot of this stuff, do your own research through CAS's website, but all the clear ones are here as we go through them. So no higher than 120 meters, 30 meters away from people, only flying one drone, so don't try to fly two drones at the same time, and only during daylight hours. That's a big one as well. So be aware of that. You can get permits when you've got licenses to fly at night, but you need to apply for that, and it's a little bit more of a process. And it's not going to the next slide. Okay, there we go. Again, go through the CAS's website. You just go onto, it's called Know Your Drone on their website, and just read up on all the rules there. These are all the rules that have just been dragged across, but well worth looking into it on your own time. All to do with also like controlled airports, always 5.5 kilometers away. Helipads or helicopter landing sites, also be aware of that. You do have APAS, which is a feature on the drone where it can actually notify you if there's an aircraft in the area. So the map will actually start flashing and it will say nearby aircraft. So just keep an eye on that. Make sure you've got APAS enabled through the settings if you don't, for whatever reason. And yes, if you don't know me, There's DansTube. That's all my stuff that I do there. Feel free to follow me across any of those socials. If you have any questions after today, like I'm always hyperactive on socials. If you need to ask any question, I can answer any of that. So check me out, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. A lot of my like vertical content is unique from the YouTube stuff. So feel free to check out both of those when you get a chance. And like I said, there will be like a full, I think I've got 57 tips and settings for the Mavic 4 that I'm hoping to release soon. I was hoping to release it before today, but that's where I go into depth about some of those other features I mentioned there, and you'll learn a bunch about the drone. There's a lot of cool stuff that this drone can do. And then finally, if you don't know, I have a drone course. Not for everyone, it's a beginner's drone course. So if you have, crashed a drone and you're really terrified of flying again, maybe you've just got a drone and you're worried about flying it in general, the whole idea here is that I run a counseling business, so I'm really focused on mental health and the drone side of things. So I combined a course where I'm really focusing in on helping people overcome their anxieties and fears when they're flying. Feel free to use the code DansTube if you do want to check it out. And also through the D1 store as well. If you ever want to get a discount through D1, you can also mention when you come in store DansTube to one of the staff members, or you can go to their website and use the code DansTube as well. Doesn't work on every single product, but most drones, cameras, and accessories, you can save some money by just using the code DansTube. All right, so thank you so much for watching and listening, everyone. We'll go through, after we wrap this up, what the process is about going across to the park. But if you've got any questions about the Mavic 4 Pro, feel free to ask them now. Yes?
Yeah, first off, with the prop guards, does that negate the safe fly?
Good question.
Does it others?
I believe it does. I haven't used it with the Mavic 4 Pro. I know that there's a setting that you can enable so that it knows that it's using prop guards or using an accessory, but that's more so for the payload. I believe it wouldn't make a huge difference, but there's always a possibility, right? If you've got additional obstacles in the way, potentially. I haven't used it, so I can't fully comment on it, but could be worth trying, yeah. Yeah, go.
With the controller, if you've got two drones, can you readily switch between the drones? So you switch off from one, log into the other one, so that your controller will recognise both drones and how you can choose between the two.
You can. It is a little bit of a process. It's not like as simple as just tapping a button, but you can go into the settings, and then there's like a re-pairing option. So I'll just quickly load it up here. So you don't have to have the drone connected. You just go connect to aircraft, and then you go camera view. I find this is the easiest way of doing it. You press the three dots, and then when you go control and scroll down, there's the connect to aircraft button there. So it'll connect it, and then you press and hold the battery on the new drone, and it will sync across straight away. So it's not a huge process, but you'd want to like land the drone, power it all off, and then you can just go through that process. So you can switch within like 30 seconds, I would say. It's pretty easy to do, yeah. Yes?
If you wanted to also use like VR goggles, can you connect the VR goggles to this? How does the pairing process work?
Yes. I don't believe it's compatible just yet. Do we? No, it's not compatible just yet. I'm sure that they'll do it at some point. It's inevitable that they'll probably do it. Not that I've heard anything, but no, at this stage you can't. Yeah, you can't connect up with any goggles just yet. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
What's the zoom on the camera that can zoom in close? What's the maximum?
Yeah, so it goes to 6 times, which they call it 168 millimeter. So a context point would be like, I think in some of those shots that I was showing there, I was like about 100 meters away, right? Significant distance away to get something framed relatively nicely. But then on top of that, you can use digital zoom. So I think it's like up to 25 times. So like significantly more. But at that point, it's pixelated. You wouldn't want to use the footage. But just good to like scout out a location. If you want to really zoom into a spot, you can use the digital zoom as well.
Because I think I remember on the Mavic 3 Pro, you could zoom like 28 times.
Yeah. Same thing as that, yeah. So yeah, no improvements when it comes to digital zoom. It's still like heavily pixelated and cropped, but just handy to have as a, to scout out a location. That's how I use it.
So with my Mini 4 Pro, the one I can get 4 times, and the second I zoom out, it's all the same quality.
Yeah. It dips, the quality just dips right down. Yeah. Cool. Any other questions?
Yeah, another question as well. I know that the Inspire, you can get like a special type of antenna, external antenna that can boost your signal or can actually add further accuracy to your position or something.
Yep.
Can you, if you were to get that antenna, can you add it to this one, or is that just an Inspire only type option?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what you're talking about there, but I do know that they've got on the controller this panel here that if you remove it, you can then add in a dongle. Right, so you can add like a 4G dongle. Apparently, I haven't tested it yet. Apparently, the new one isn't compatible. It's not working just yet, but they've got it there. So.
And the one that you're talking about, the RTK3 module, that only works with the Inspire and the Matrice Enterprise series of range. It doesn't work with any of the other. Okay.
Yeah. So at some point they'll probably add it because they've obviously got the option to plug in the dongle here, but right now it's not compatible. Yeah.
It works in China, but not overseas yet.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. Nice.
So if you had the dongle, you would be able to go online from the controller?
So right now it's not compatible, so I can't use it just yet, but I have tested it with the Air 3S, I tested it, and so the idea is when you lose reception, basically, then it kicks into 4G. So it just adds additional, range to it.
If you're going to use the features in there now for internet, you need to have Wi-Fi?
Yes, good question. Yes, you would need to connect up to a hotspot on your phone, or you'd need to be on a Wi-Fi network. If you wanted to access like the internet, Firefox, or you wanted to upload content onto social media, yeah. But for everything else, no major issues. The thing as well is like you can download the maps offline. So even if you're flying in an area, you can download that map, that area offline. So then when you go to that area, it's already downloaded onto the controller. So that's what I'd recommend for stuff like that, if you don't want to connect it up to your phone. Yeah. Cool. Any other questions, or we're happy to leave it there? Cool. If you've got anything else, feel free to ask me when we're over at the park, or you can also just message me online as well. Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. DJI Carindale, D1 store, everyone here, thank you so much for coming along. And can't wait for you all to have a chance to actually fly the drone across the road. Thanks, guys. I'm going to launch mine, Lachlan.
You can see that's now switched into this. So we've now got all your vertical shooting when you switch into your portrait mode.
I want to launch mine, okay?
Yep. We'll get out of your way.
Thank you. All right. So we showed the opportunity to obviously press and hold to take off, but typically what I do is prime the motors by going like that, and then you manually take off however you want to.
Home point updated.
At that point. So the other thing, so what Lachlan was mentioning about the obstacle avoidance side of things. So for example, if I've got bypass on, you can see the sensors up here. So this little icon here, if I tap on it, it will show me that it's on. Straight when I go to sports mode, it will tell me that it's disabled. So that's like easy at a glance information. You know that it's disabled if that's red. And obviously if I go into that mode, it enables it again. So that's really handy. Another thing as well is the actual battery percentage there. If you tap on that percentage, it will come up with an indicator to tell you how long until it returns to home, how long until it forces the landing, and then also until it's fully depleted. So I use that all the time because you just can't gauge 100% if you're too far away how long it's going to take to come back. So I'm just going to go up. Okay. So, and with the zoom, so, as expected, you tap on it and it goes to the different zoom lengths. But what you can do is you can also press and hold on it, and then that's where you can enable the digital zoom. So you can see it's very pixelated. So like at that point, you're not using the footage. You would not want to use that. And then you can tap it again. It will return back to the default. And that's the same with all of them for 2.5 times.
So they're optical zooms?
Yes. So it's a fixed point, and then let me just move that. Yeah, it's a fixed point that it goes to. So it's either 1 times, 2.5 times, or 6 times. So it's like a fixed. It's not optical in the sense that you can't adjust it. So like that is pure digital at that point.
Okay.
You're not the camera system isn't moving. It's purely just cropping the image at that point. Another cool thing, if you really like using the different zoom lengths, I find that the explore mode here is really handy. because I don't know if you noticed, but when I tap between the different zoom lengths, there's a delay. It takes like 2 seconds, and then it takes 2 seconds. Where this one, I can press and hold, and I can go between all the cameras seamlessly.
Oh, okay.
Right? So that's a handy one as well, because there's no delay. You don't have to worry. It does limit the quality though, so it limits it to like 4K 60, but not a huge issue if you're fine to use that. And they showed it before, but so you can tap it as well to go between the different zoom lengths as well. Takes it back to that. When you flip, it immediately goes into the vertical mode. I did find sometimes when you're flying forward, for example, in sports mode, and if you try to angle down, it's got a little bit of a limited tilt. See how like that's the max I can tilt in vertical mode? So there is a little bit of a limit there. You can adjust that slightly through the control settings here. So tilt angle expansion. So you can enable that to give you just a little bit more of a tilt angle to it. And then same with looking up, you've got quite limited range. Whereas opposed to like if you go in that mode, you can then tilt all the way up to 70.
Oh, okay, so it's only limited in the
portrait mode.
Okay.
Yeah, for whatever reason, that's just a limitation they've got. So for me, I've got it so that right dial does the zoom. So I'm using my zoom there, right? But you can program that to make that the rotation option as well. So that could also be rotation. For me though, I've got it so I press and hold, and then I start rotating.
Oh, that is amazing. That's good. Flying through an archway.
Oh yeah, imagine.
Yeah, go down to Sisters or something, and
So impressive.
Can you fully customize the speed of the rotation though?
In that mode, it's basically up to you. So that's me maxing it there.
Yep.
That's limited to that.
Yep.
But if I was to go into the Quickshot mode here, and then I was to go into the rotate feature, then you've got some parameter options down here. So if I move that, you can see it's forward, so I can adjust it to either forward or backward. And then here's where I can change the speed. So rotation speed, I can make it up to max. I'll just give you an example, max, and then flight speed. So I'll go max for everything. And you can see it's only a 10-second clip. So it's a really fast clip. And we'll make it so it's a full 360. All right, and then let's just make sure that we've got it in 1x. All right, so where are we? We're up there, and we're away from people, easy. Yeah, so at that point, I've got it forward facing, 360 degrees, max rotation at the fastest speed possible.
3, 2, 1.
So it flips it first to 360, and then it starts going.
That is very cool.
So that's basically the fastest it can go. So pretty much the exact same as what I did before.
Yeah.
But you can obviously speed that up in post-production if you really needed to.
So you can't do a 360 continually. You
No.
said there's a 400 was the max,
Yeah.
and then it returns back to its default.
No, there's a thread, like a locking point.
Yeah.
So you can't keep going. They call it an infinity gimbal.
Yeah.
That would imply that it never stops.
Yeah.
So it's not full infinity. So like if I was to go, let me go back into the normal mode. So this is just me in photo. So yeah, if I was to keep going, you can see at the top there it says 400.
Yep.
If I just keep going, it will hit a locking point and then it will stop. So it goes to 360, goes a little bit beyond that, and then it just stops. So you're locked at that point. And then, but I use that button there to just reset it. So it just spins all the way back and resets it just for ease of use. So like I said, you can do that, but if you don't have this controller, there's still a button there that you tap, and that will just do this exact same thing as well. Yeah, so that's really easy. So if I show, for example, over here, so this is the home point. So they call it like augmented reality, basically, the augmented reality return to home. So it pins where we took off from.
Yep.
So even though we have no reception, I'm not connected to my phone, it still knows where I am. And then if I press and hold to return to home very quickly, it will show me the route that it's going to go on, the exact path it's going to go on to return to home. So that as well can also be really cool. I've seen videos online where they've actually got it returning through buildings. So it will avoid obstacles as it's returning to home with that AR path as well, which is really cool. So there's Brisbane City in the distance. So do we have any idea how many Ks that is away? 20K, 30K? What is it? I don't even know. Let's see. So we go 6 times zoom. That's the city right there.
It's not bad.
So pretty impressive. And then So there's just a button here that you just tap on. So you just go 1 times, 2.5 times, or 6 times. But then I've also got this programmed here. So if I turn that, so that's the max I can go.
Look at the sharpness on that.
Yeah. So you lose a little bit of quality when it's like digital, but still.
If you keep the picture moving, it won't. So you can actually use your button and just zoom in on that manually.
Yeah. So I'm pulling back
at the
now.
same time. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. So I could just go into video mode.
Yeah.
Go into. I'm in the wrong one. Normal. And then.
What's normal?
There we go. So I can go in here, can start recording, and then mid-recording can obviously then zoom in.
I said you were flying in.
To get that as well, which is cool.
That's very cool.
And then another thing as well is with the screen, you can press and hold on the screen, and you can drag down to also control the camera. So if you wanted a free, maybe you didn't want to use that toggle, for example, maybe you're using your left hand here, you can obviously fly forward and then still control that while you're flying up or down or whatever. So there's a fair bit of control with that.
How far that city is away, that's amazing. Look.
Pretty crazy, right? So if we go into this, I'll just show you the focus track mode. So this is us down here, and see how it's automatically pinned and figured out that we're people, that it can track. So at any point I can just tap on someone. So we'll tap over there, recognises it as a person. So then I can manually fly back, down.
And it keeps him in frame.
And it keeps him fully in frame as I'm moving around. So we've got to be mindful of the tree there.
Very cool.
Did you do that
just
with
there.
wildlife?
Right there.
Just right there.
Yeah.
You can. It's a little bit risky in the sense that like this tree here. Right, so maybe I want this tree to be the focus point. I can then press and hold and drag it like that. And then that will be the focus point. So it hasn't recognized it as an object, but it's still going to be the focus. So as I start flying...
So you can do building a house or something
you can
like
do
that,
building, house,
and then you can keep
really anything.
So it'll keep it centre of frame.
Yeah.
Okay.
So even if it
does that have to be an ActiveTrack, or just by tapping the screen it automatically puts you into that?
So just in the default mode, so just in that, you just drag.
Okay.
So that's all you have to do.
And that's now an ActiveTrack.
That's fully an ActiveTrack.
So you're now a spot, so it becomes a spotlight.
You can't use ActiveTrack unless it recognises it. I'm just over here.
Where's your drone?
Just over here, up here.
Oh, it's just over there.
Let me get out of the zoom so I can bring it back. All right. So anything else that you wanted me to show? I mean, I can show a bunch of stuff. Is there anything else that I mentioned during the presentation that you wanted to see?
How often do you use the vertical format?
I use it a bit. I use it a fair bit. Yeah, because it's just easy to capture, right? And you can still do, like, so if I go vertical here, I can still use the 6 times and get like a shot of Brisbane, but then it's layered with all the suburbs before Brisbane, which is really nice.
Yeah. So to get into that tele mode, it's just tapping on the side.
Yeah, for me, I've got that programmed as well. So I can also use that to zoom in.
So that's automatically switching cameras, is it?
No, so not in that mode. You have to go into explore mode. So in explore mode, it goes between all the different zoom lengths. So it actually changes the camera. You can see a little bit of a stutter as it changes.
Yeah.
There you go, there was another stutter.
You're in
right there.
The digital zoom is in the last sequence, is it?
No, so 6 times is the camera. So around there, that's the zoom lens, that's it native, and then beyond that is all cropping. That's all digital at that point.
From 6, okay.
From 6 on to 24 times, which is pretty cool as well. The slow motion, master shots. So I showed you, let me just go back in here. So you've also got, like, this is standard for a lot of drones, but you've got the FPV mode as well. So that means when you start flying, you get a little bit of that banking effect. If you want like a unique kind of perspective to add a bit more to the stuff. Let me just bring it back.
I used that for the first time yesterday. There was they were constructing a pump track.
Oh yeah.
And I was showing the berms that the banking they're building.
Yeah.
And I flew around and it looked ordinary just as you fly on, but so I changed the setting and I flew around on a bank. It looked really cool.
Oh, that is cool.
So there's no sort of like drone avoidance systems?
No, I mean, if it notices it as an obstacle for sure, but you don't want to be risking that. You can track other drones though, I've noticed. If you like zoom in, you can draw a box around them and track it, but not overly recommended. So we've got that. Let me just find this other. So this is through These are the different color modes. So normal is like fine a lot of the time. Lachlan was explaining it before, but the all eye is exclusive to the creator combo, right? Yeah. So then if you tap on that, that's like the rawest image that you can get. Very like huge file sizes, but that's to get the most out of it.
With that, so if you look at the video feed on there, basically every single time it takes a frame of video, even though nothing has moved on that frame, it's going to be its own fresh image.
That's crazy.
There's an all intro, which is your more standard one. If we shoot that same scene for 5 seconds, it's going to take 1, and then see nothing's moved, and it's just going to be showing that 1 frame the entire time. And then when something moves, that's when we'll update that part of the image. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That makes sense. So with this, what you can do on other ones is you press it, and then you press and hold, and if the light goes green...
Well, the battery's good.
No, it's not doing it. Mustn't been a feature. So with other drones, you can do that. So you press it, release, press and hold, and then it'll actually trickle charge into the battery that needs it the most from the charging unit, but it's obviously not available on this one.
No.
I know you can do it with the Air 3S and the Avata 2.
Yeah.
The mode, and now I'm in auto mode.
Can you show me repeat again?
So it's just following. I'll just let it do it, and I'll show you in a second. So it's in auto mode right now, but if I tap that, now it's in auto mode. So it's just going to do what it does. But if I wanted to change, so maybe I want it to go to the left-hand side. So I press that, and now it's going to move around and start tracking from the left profile.
That is awesome.
If I wanted to, I'm just going to increase in height so it doesn't hit him in the head. There we go. So it's trying to keep off to the left. It is kind of moving a bit weird. But if I press front, for example, now it should reassess. And so I've got obstacle avoidance still on, so if it does notice anything, it will avoid as it's doing it.
That is nice.
So I can have it from the front, and then I can push it back a bit further if I want. And those 2 rings, you can customize the distance as well.
Oh, so okay.
They presettable, aren't they?
They are, yeah. So this is the default that I've left it at, but you can customize it. You can choose all sorts of settings. You can even choose like a near ground flight, so it can fly. I think it's 2 meters off the ground, so you can get like a super low shot. So that's me going off to the far right now. I can obviously pull it in. You can kind of drag it around. See how I can do that? And I can choose the motion. So now it's going to swing all the way around, and it's going to go on an angle now.
Oh wow! So if he was like on a bike, let's say, would the drone be able to keep up and?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Trees.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay.
Yeah, so up to 60 kilometers an hour. So if it's a car, 60k is the max. You wouldn't be able to keep up beyond that. When I tested it with my friend, we tried to get it to switch locations, and it wasn't able to because he was going just over 60k. But if you were going a bit slower, you can get it to move any direction you want it to. So you can see, and you can get an angle. So right now I'm on the far left angle, I guess, right here.
Yeah.
So now he's running. Let me just record this for him. So that's him. And then if I tried to move while it's coming, so he's obviously running, and see how it's like reassessing. It's coming around the front now.
That is nice.
You'll have to take out the drone shadow in post.
Yes, 100%. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, you get that being watched feeling?
Yeah.
So
that is good.
It's really impressive.
Yeah.
Castle rules is 30 metres separation from people. And was it 15 metres with people who you are working with, is it?
I don't know about that one. It's 30 metres away from people.
Yeah.
As long as people give you consent, that's normally fine. As long as you've got consent that you can fly near someone.
Yeah.
But rule of thumb is 30 metres away from people.
And you can set that as a minimum on that?
Not really. You'd want to monitor it down here.
Yeah, okay.
You'd really want to monitor it the whole time.
Circles.
Yeah. So with the circles, you can adjust that. So you can adjust the parameters as it's following.
Okay.
I'd probably want to do it when I stop following in a sec. But yeah, you can adjust the height and the distance away from the subject. Yep. And with the cars as well, that was a newer thing. So when it came out on the Mini 4 Pro, you couldn't track cars. Okay. I don't think it had as much speed. It couldn't catch up. But with this guy, because it's got 60 kilometers, it can keep up with the car and it can change direction. That's the main thing, that it can actually come around in front, go off to the side.
Mini 4 Pro, how fast can you?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head, actually.
Okay.
Not as fast as this guy, though. No way.
interesting going back in the old days of early GPS. We had the spray helicopters set up.
Yeah.
And they'd do a flick turn at the end of a spray path. Lose GPS.
Oh, really?
Yeah, didn't know where it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see it's very reliable. I can put it straight into auto mode if I really wanted.
What does that do?
It's going to let me. So this will just be automatic movement. So based on where he's going, so as he starts turning, it will just figure out the most appropriate path. So right now it's in the front. I'm not touching anything. I don't know if it will just stay in front the whole time. Okay, so it's pulling back a little bit. So it's actually adjusting in real time. So this is all like AI program. It's just doing what it thinks is relevant.
That's all.
If it notices like a tree behind it, it would then relocate. It would swing around and go from behind. So you can see it's actually doing it. There you go, in real time. It's now adjusting that point there.
How is the in terms of collision avoidance? How good are the sensors? Like, let's say you've got a branch and it's got like low-lying branches or something, and you're going one direction. It will detect the tree, but will it detect all the individual leaves and the actual shrubs and stuff?
That's where normally people crash.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, I'll show you actually this as well for the reference point. Thanks, Lachlan. I think he was waiting for the reference. Okay, so let me just, I'll sit there so you guys can see it. So down here, this is the map. If I swipe across, it brings across the compass. So this, as I start turning, you'll see the interference down here. You see the reference as I'm moving forward and back. That basically shows me how much resistance there is. Can you see that there? That little that line. So as I move back, see how it pulls back. So that gives you a rough. If you can't see the drone completely, you can't see how it's operating. It gives you an idea of like wind, how much interference it's got. And then if I swipe again, this is where I get the actual feed from the sensors. So this is from the obstacle avoidance sensors. So I can see to the left, I can see down, I can see, so I could go into this map view and still have it there. So that's basically what the obstacle avoidance sensors are picking up on. So when it comes to a tiny branch, you can see the video quality is quite low. So it struggles to pick up a branch or a leaf or like a power line. Power lines are terrible for stuff like that.
It has to be solid.
It has to be solid. So like that tree in front of us there is ideal lower, but then as you get higher, it's probably going to have some issues because there's too many fracturing of branches. But yeah, you can use that vision sensor, as you can see, to give you a rough idea of what's actually happening from the sensors. It's handy to have. I don't really use it too much, but can be handy if you know you're near things, just to have that in the bottom corner, just to go, oh, there's a building close or whatever. Yeah, so that's always handy to have there. And then you use that by just swiping. You're going to swipe between the different modes by doing that.
That's good.
Which is handy as well.
That's a natural drone.
Oh, yeah. So again, thank you everyone who attended the event. I really enjoyed hosting this workshop for the Mavic 4 Pro. Everyone got a chance to fly. A bunch of people got to ask some questions and learn more about the drone. So hopefully it was a value-packed day for everyone that attended. And this video here will hopefully also help some other people that want to learn more about the drone, how to manage it, how to get more out of the experience, the tips and settings, all the different features. And hopefully you'll learn something from this video as well, watching it again. I appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you everyone for supporting the channel, and I'll chat to you very soon. Peace.